So it has been 3 months of full-time YouTube / self-employment. How has it been going? Well, it's been interesting. For those of you that aren't familiar, at the end of last year, I decided to leave my full-time job to give YouTube / content creation a shot, just fully focused on it. For the 10 years that I've been doing YouTube, I've always had something outside of it, whether it was school or a full-time job. And towards the end of last year, I was starting to think about this decision. There were a lot of things that went into it. It was not an easy choice to make, but I wanted to give it a shot. I'd been working at HP Tuners for 4 years on the marketing team, and I was definitely burning myself out a bit. Having a full-time job and YouTube was a lot. I was working 80 to 90 hours a week, didn't have much time for myself, and I was just thinking, like, is this worth it? Like, I wanted to give it a shot. So there's a video towards the beginning of this year that I filmed talking about the decision, why I made it. And I want to do an update because we're 3 months in now, technically 4 months since I left the job, but I took January off to kind of recharge, rest. I went back to China to see my grandma, spend some time with family, and just kind of needed to recover before I went full on into this. So 3 full months, we're at the beginning of May now, so February, March, April. How has it been going? Well, there was a lot. It's very, very interesting. It's been a unique challenge. Let's see, I have some notes here because there's a lot on my mind. So how has it been going? Interesting. The reason I say interesting is it's brought some different challenges I did not expect to have. I've always thought that I was really, really good at time management priorities because I had to. I had such a structured, regimented life between full-time job and then what I was doing after work and so forth with YouTube. But the lack of structure actually surprised me how much, because I guess for my entire adult life, right? I've always had things that dictated I needed to be here during this time and responsibilities. Now all of a sudden it was completely up to me. In the past I thought I had like autonomy and so forth, but now I truly did. So the flexibility, we'll get into that a little bit more, is both the coolest thing and also like a little bit of a curse, because it like, you sit there like, wait, what do I do now? There's 18 million different things I need to do. This is going to be a free-form, casual, informal video, just sitting here on the couch right now talking to you guys. I'm currently out in California. We'll probably grab the camera, go outside for a bit. I currently have a Lotus Emira parked outside. May set up some GoPros, go for a drive, and just chat, right? Just talk about what it has been like. Because when I first made the decision, I did have a lot of people, whether friends, family, some people just from social media followers, you guys, that asked me like, oh, how did you make the decision? What has it been like? Every time I sit down at dinner with friends catching up, they just want to know how it's been going. Some people mentioned that they've been thinking about making this jump or thinking about making this transition. I had other YouTube friends talk about it too. Some people were like, the best decision they ever made was quitting their job and going full into YouTube. So I wanted to just make this informal video talking about things. So probably talk about a couple more points here that I have in my notes before we go hop in the car, go for a drive. Sun's out, weather's fantastic today. Have a Lotus Emira, go hit some canyon roads. So I mentioned the flexibility. Obviously now I can make my own schedule. There's certain things that still dictate it. I have a upload schedule I want to adhere to. I get like media events and things like that. But technically I wake up when I want to wake up. I go to sleep when I want to go to sleep. I do what I want to do whenever. I can go wherever I want, whenever I want. And that was one of the big things that was really appealing. Any self-employed person realizes, hey, I'm not beholden to anybody else. You just do what you want when you want. With a caveat, right? Because, well, you are able to do that. There are still other responsibilities, and you know there's things that need to be done. But the flexibility has been really, really awesome. I can now travel where I want to travel on my own schedule as long as I can plan it out, right? So I'm currently in Southern California again for 10 days. I made a 2-3 week trip earlier in the year, then went to Scottsdale. I do have media events that bring me here and there. I'm going to Chicago again in about a week and a half. So that's really cool. And when I wake up, I structure my day how I see fit. I go through my calendar. I said I'm going to spend 4 hours editing. I'm going to spend 2 hours answering emails, doing some research. I'm going to go out film for 3 to 4 hours, and I can switch things around, right? Because that's the self-employed life. But at the same time, I'm trying to structure it with like going to the gym and so forth. So the flexibility has been very interesting. I want to talk more about that because that is probably what has surprised me the most, that the flexibility is both the coolest part, but also a slightly stressful, difficult part. Speaking of stress, I'm definitely overall less stressed, but there's new stresses in a different format, right? Last year, I was definitely burning myself out. I was working so much, traveling a lot, and I'm not complaining. I made the decisions to do that with my life, and it was an amazing experience. HP Tuners was an awesome company to work for. I love my role, I love the team, I love the rest of the executive team, And I got to do some pretty awesome things. I mean, like the travel I was doing was going to very glamorous, cool places. We were in the Middle East, in Dubai, attending trade shows, visiting customers. I got to go to Europe. I did some Formula One races, right? It was epic. And then within the country, also going to some events, going to Vegas for SEMA and things like that. But I was home maybe 1 to 2 weeks per month and working a lot of hours, pretty much outside of the full-time job, 9 to 5. But as you guys know, most full-time jobs aren't truly 9 to 5. And in my role, there were definitely some days that were more like 9 to 9 p.m.s, right? Or weekends or whatever. Just it took a lot. And then any spare moment I had, I was doing YouTube, right? Whether it's editing at night, filming on the weekends, using my PTO, my time off of work to go to a media drive to do something else, all of that went into it. So it was like, probably 80 something, 90 hours of work per week. And again, I'm not complaining because there are people, lawyers, doctors, physicians, right? People who are in residency. I was just talking to some friends. They work like 130 hours a week or manual labor. So it's not like my life was hard per se, but I was burning myself out a bit. And it wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do, right? So I was definitely really stressed. I wasn't happy. That's something I realized. I had a lot of disposable income in the cars. I had the R8 RWS, the Shelby GT350R, and my C8 Z06. 3 dream cars that if you rewinded 5-10 years ago and told me that you're gonna have those 3 cars at the same time, I would have been like, how, right? Like, that's not, my career isn't gonna get me there. I mean, I would love to, but it was just unbelievable. But then I realized I wasn't driving them. I drove the Shelby 500 miles in a year. And what is the point of having all these cars if you never enjoy them, right? I was just, it wasn't bringing the satisfaction and meaning. I wasn't getting time to myself, taking care of myself, right? I wasn't eating healthy. I wasn't going to the gym, exercising. I had essentially no social life outside of the work-specific things, right? Business occasions and things like that is a form of social life, but it's not the same. I had no relationship to speak of, right? I was lonely, wasn't necessarily happy, but on the surface, it looked amazing. You look at my social media, it's like, wow, the highlight reel. That's what I always tell people. Social media is a very carefully curated highlight reel. Of course, you're gonna post the cool things, right? The flights to different exotic places, the amazing meals, the cool cars, and so forth. You're not gonna post every night staying up till 2 in the morning doing X, Y, and Z, answering dozens of emails and figuring out logistics and stressing over things. That's not what you post. So I lost my train of thought for a second. Yeah, it wasn't the right thing in life. And I was like, you know what, maybe I should go for this. So made the decision, decided to leave the full-time job. Very, very hard choice because I did love that role, but I wanted to give YouTube a shot before I got too old or maybe regretted it, right? And there's never the right moment to make that decision. That's another thing I really realized. A lot of people ask me, like, how did you know it's the right time? If you wait for a monetary point, like a fiscal number, right? Like, I need to be making $150,000 a year off my business before I quit my full-time job so I can maintain the same standard of living or whatever it is. You're never gonna get to that point. There's always gonna be a risk. There's never the perfect time. You just kind of gotta go for it. Just absolutely go for it. I planned it more kind of strategically. I made sure I had a safety net and so forth and thought things out. I lowered my monthly costs by selling 2 cars. I sold my home and so forth, moved back in for family for a bit just to get things situated and rolling and figured it all out. Ran a bunch of numbers, set some targets, and made that choice. But there's never the perfect time. And if you keep putting it off, just like starting a social media channel or starting YouTube videos, there's never gonna be the perfect time. Just kind of have to go for it, right? There's a leap of faith required. So I did go for it. One of the big things I wanted to do this year was find a better balance in life. And I'm still working on that. It's a work in progress, and I think it always will be. Work-life balance was never a thing I had before. I used to joke, I have work-work balance. Outside of work, I have my other work. Right now, I've decided to prioritize the life part. So while I do still work a lot, and I'm struggling because sometimes I'll sit there for 12 hours in a day, realize, oh my gosh, all I did today was work, and I enjoy it, right? I'm not complaining again. This is my choice, and I love doing what I'm doing right now. But it's like, wait, I decided to leave my full-time job so I could focus on doing YouTube, but have it as like a kind of regular-ish workload. I'll never be just a 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, sign off, I'm done, right? Always want other things to do. But finding that balance, one of the best parts is I have been very lucky. I've met an amazing girl. I have a girlfriend now, Angel. She is absolutely awesome, and that has brought a different, something I really desperately needed in my life, and get along great with her. So dedicating time to that, having a relationship, that was something that's really important to me because I don't want to go through life completely alone, right? There's no point. She may not love the Corvette like I do, but it's still great spending time. So finding that balance, having a relationship, focusing on my health again, so making it a dedicated thing to just go back to the gym, losing weight, getting back into shape, improving my health. It wasn't going well last year. On the road so much, you don't have time or energy, right? After a 14-hour flight to the Middle East and then another trip after that, and I'm like, I'm not going to the hotel gym. And when I get home, I'm so tired, I just want to sleep. I do not have energy. So really being deliberate about those things, and I'm enjoying it. It's way better for mental health. Physical health obviously has been great. Losing weight, getting back into shape, enjoying that thing and that entire process. So that's been really, really good. There's still a lot of challenges. So with that, I think I've been sitting on this couch long enough. Let's go outside, hop in the Lotus Emira, go for a drive and just keep talking. Hello, Lotus Emira. It's been fun having this car this week. Tomorrow it's getting dropped off and I am taking a Maserati Gran Turismo for a couple of days, but since we have the Lotus here, let's go hit some curvy canyon roads. This is a very informal video, no cinematic B-roll, thematic music, just me and the camera talking to you guys. I've wanted to make more of this kind of content, just more genuine, authentic content. I'm not the most comfortable vlogging. I don't think I'm the best. It's something I want to keep working on, just like day-to-day vlogging type of content. I actually personally prefer the more serious, like technical, formal reviews. And I've been working on it, doing like the living with vlogs with the cars. But this one, I just wanted to just stream of consciousness, talk about what it has been like. I think part of it is social media has conditioned us to just only show the good parts, right? Everybody's always just posting about the next Lamborghini they bought, their new car, the new watch, this amazing 5-star hotel they're traveling to. So being more authentic in that way, I don't know how well that's always received, but the first video I did talking about kind of my life update, right? I resigned from my job, left my job, going for it. The comments were great, and it was really, really nice to see that. So I figured, you know what? I think an update is good. We're one fiscal quarter in, technically 3 months, formally 3 months, because of that taking January off. So the challenges, what have been the biggest challenges? The balance of what I need to be focusing on. So it's like prioritizing. Again, that's something I never expected to be a challenge for me because I've always been very good at prioritizing. In my previous role, I often had to help my team members prioritize because it is something that can be difficult when you have so many different things to do. How do you know what is the most important? And in a business setting, in a team setting, I was able to be like, well, this is what's going to move the needle. This is the most important thing because this is the urgent, high priority thing. We'll work on this, then this, then this, right? I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once you're done with those, go on to the next one. For some reason, for myself, when I got into this, I was like, oh my gosh, everything is a priority. But when you make everything a priority, then nothing is a priority, right? If everything is urgent, then nothing is urgent. So you have to be able to differentiate that. And because there is so much that I decided to put on my plate, right? There's not only posting videos. Obviously, that's number one. But then like when it goes to the videos, you have to film and you have to edit and do thumbnails and do pictures and do posting on this platform and that platform. And then there's short form content, right? I need to do reels, YouTube shorts. There's new platforms that I haven't explored yet. There's merchandise. Do I make a website? Do I do X, Y, and Z? There is an endless amount. There's lining up the cars, logistics, travel, budgeting, all these different things that I know I need to work on, and it's like trying to find that priority. And I'm not going to perfect it ever, right? It's always going to be a constant work in progress, but I've skewed a little too heavily on the filming part. I'm like, oh my gosh, get as many videos as possible. And I just spent all this time filming, and all of a sudden I had like 15 videos sitting there waiting to be edited, and I'm behind by a whole month. I'm still working on catching up. I just finished my first California and Arizona trip videos, which is like a month behind. I was just editing a recent vlog, and there was still snow on the ground. It's May now, right? There's no snow anymore. So that's a balance that I haven't found yet, because editing does take so much time. A lot of people don't realize that. Like, I may spend 5-6 hours filming a video all in with all the B-roll shots and the GoPro driving shots and whatever, and then it may take another 6 to 8 hours to edit it, depending on how complex it is. Vlogs are going to be a lot easier because it's linear, like one clip at a time, maybe a little bit of trimming, overlay, a little bit of audio work. But for like one of my formal reviews, I've got intro with the main camera, then I've got the cinematic cut where I sync it to music, have all the B-roll shots, detail shots, a lot of that with stabilizing and transitions and so forth. And then once I get into the driving stuff, then I've got multiple GoPros, the audio to sync up, and then overlay more B-roll shots. So it's like 3 to 4 passes through a 15 to 25 minute video, and it adds up, right? It takes a lot of time. And I'm not like a professional editor or anything, right? I'm a former engineer, and I just kind of learned how to use Adobe Premiere Pro. I'm still constantly learning new shortcuts and new little features. And recently, one of my friends was berating me, telling me to get off of Premiere Pro and to go over to DaVinci Resolve. So maybe I'll have to try that at one point, learn this all new software. But finding that balance, and not only the work balance itself, right? What I'm doing for YouTube now, but that life balance. There's days where I've skewed heavily towards running errands, right? Or doing something with the car, or going to the gym, grocery meal prepping, and then spending some time with my family or my girlfriend or whatever it is. And I didn't get much work done. So like, it's finding that balance. I still don't know when a weekend is gonna be. I remember early on when I was first making this choice, I was talking to my friend Fabio, I'm like, I don't know when to take weekends. Should my weekends be on Wednesdays? Wednesdays and Thursdays are my weekend, right? Because Saturday, Sunday, usually if I'm wanting to film with a friend or something, that's when they have it off of work. So I'm gonna need to do work then. And I just kind of work whenever I wanna work. So again, that's where you see like the flexibility is great. It's one of the perks, but also it can be a little bit of a challenge because I'm like, do I even have a weekend anymore? When do I stop working? When do I end my workday? Because there's always stuff to do. One thing I realized, like with a job, especially when you're part of a team, you're a role player, even in leadership or management roles, a lot of stuff can wait, right? The workday's done, everybody else is done working. It's 7 p.m. I'm gonna stop because this can be a tomorrow thing. There are some times when there's emergencies and you gotta keep working late into the night to hit a deadline or prepare for an event, but there's usually a much more finite, like this is an end thing, the team can help, or I can talk to somebody, whatever. When it's just me, like technically I could never stop working, just keep going on infinitely. A little bit of a tunnel, we should make some noise. Supercharger wine is fun. So finding that balance is interesting for sure. Now I'm going to keep working on it. It's only been 3 months, right? The monetary aspect, right? Money, income, that's a challenge. I cannot ignore that. It is absolutely a challenge, and one that I knew going into it. I'm not making a ton of money off of YouTube. And last year, right, when I had a full-time job, I was in a management role, had a W-2, plus YouTube and whatever other opportunities came up. I mean, I was doing well. I was happy. I'd worked hard. I'd gotten to this point, and that was going to be a big shift. I knew that no matter what. My disposable income has changed completely. My financial situation completely differently, and YouTube just isn't making me that money yet. But we always know there's that potential. That's why I wanted to go for it, for the potential. But right now, I mean, the monthly cash flow is substantially lower. I've reduced my spending, but I still want to like experience things and have fun, right? Take a weekend with my girlfriend. I need to sometimes buy new equipment for doing YouTube stuff, right? I bought new mics, these new Rode mics, which is an investment, and I absolutely love them. Worth it, right? One thing I have learned over the years is do not ever cheap out on equipment, especially when it's like your job, right? Like it is just not worth going for cheaper stuff, because when it goes wrong, when it fails, when it glitches, you're gonna be so mad. So always spend the appropriate money, do the research, buy the best gear that you can for your budget. But the money part of the thing it's just not there yet. So I'm working very hard on that and trying to find ways to. And I know there's other sources, right? For me, it's like, all right, well, you gotta get the videos up. Increase the view volume, the view count, get the audience engaged, and other things will follow, whether it's sponsorships or affiliate marketing or whatever else, and obviously pure ad revenue. Then there's endless different platforms. So working on that. That cascades into another challenge. It can be discouraging because it's just me, right? There's been times where I spent 8 hours working on a video, posted it, right? And it just didn't get the views that I wanted. And therefore I spent 8 hours and I made $15. And you look at that and you're just like, what am I doing the right thing? Is this worth it? I enjoy it, but ultimately you still have to look at the numbers. Like I would make more working a minimum wage job at a restaurant or whatever it is, right? There's nothing wrong with that, but when you look at it from a pure fiscal perspective, is that the right decision? And it can be discouraging. And I have to sit there and tell myself, keep doing it, keep grinding, keep working through it, focus on the next one, make the next one better. Just try to learn from what didn't go well. Sometimes the internet algorithm just doesn't like you. YouTube is just like, nah, we don't like this car. Viewers aren't interested in it, whatever it is. And keep going. So I'm still doing a lot of strategizing and thinking what is the best way to approach my content, what makes it unique. My ownership perspective videos, I do enjoy doing that, where I get the owner of the car and we chat about what it's like to own the car, why they chose it, why they bought it, and it's genuinely interesting and fascinating for me because I may get to spend a day or a week with a car and I can learn this much about it. But somebody who put their own money into buying this car and they had a childhood memory that made them want the car, it's so cool hearing that perspective, and they bring things about what they love, what they don't like, some learnings they have, how reliable is it, and so forth. So I think that's a cool, unique piece of content. Obviously, I'm doing the content with the new media cars, the press cars. I love experiencing all the new cars out there, right? Seeing what the manufacturer is doing as the automotive landscape and industry changes. But at the same time, I like the old stuff. So an idea I had was a series called Depreciated. Maybe I'm giving this away, but I got to put this together and like build out playlists and so forth because new cars are expensive. I hear that in the comments all the time, and it's just a fact, right? You look at new cars, inflation and so forth has caused prices to go absolutely insane. A lot of times, people can't afford these new cars. This Lotus Emira I'm driving is a 6-figure sports car. So Depreciated was a cool idea. It's like, all right, these enthusiast older cars, what are they now? The idea sparked with my A8, right? I picked up a 4 or 5-year-old used 2019 Audi A8L with $109,000 MSRP for 50 grand, and that video did really well. So doing more of those kind of videos, talking about the realities of what it's like to buy a depreciated used car, doing reviews on those. So that was another idea. Vlogs, more vlogs, right? I have my living with vlogs where I spend a week with these press cars, I get to drive, see what they're like, talk about what it's like day to day, test out the cargo capacity, the little electronics and things like that. Maybe more of that with my own cars, traveling, more experiences, just showing more of my personality into the channel. So it is a ongoing process to figure that out. And then, I mean, I'm not even talking about the different platforms too, right? I mean, just within YouTube, you have shorts now, obviously. Facebook, Instagram, you got to post on those platforms. Instagram is just constantly changing the algorithm, right? Now, apparently, photos and original content and carousels are going to finally get some recognition, but then the reels are doing like nothing whatsoever. So I'm like, just constantly figuring that out. I enjoy taking cool pictures of the cars. I'm not a photographer, but I get excited when I edit a photo. I'm like, oh man, that actually looks pretty cool. Like I took photos of this Aston DB12 Volante after driving. I'm like, whoa, those turned out nice. Maserati MC20 Cielo was up here with the sunset. I'm like, whoa, Eddie pretends to be a photographer, part 179. I was like super excited. So obviously, I'm still passionate about this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. I could sit here talking about cars and YouTube and the content and marketing and everything for hours, but you guys would probably fall asleep at your keyboard or on your phone watching me ramble on for an hour and a half about this. So the passion is obviously there, which is why I know I made the right decision. But is it discouraging and challenging at times? Absolutely. But when I take a step back and look, all right, the first 3-4 months of the year, how has it been going? Did I make the right decision? It's without a doubt, yes. The number one big reason is like I wouldn't have met my girlfriend if I hadn't made that decision, left my job, moved back to Michigan. Like we never would have met, would have never got to know her. If I had met her when I was still doing my full-time job in YouTube, it wouldn't have worked because I would not have been able to dedicate more than 5 minutes a week to relationship conversation, and that's never going to work, right? You have to be able to make something a priority, and that has really shifted my life, and she makes me happier than I've ever been, right? I said that, like, I think about her more than I think about the cars. That's how I know I think I like her early on, right? And that's really important. That matters more than the money, the cars, whatever. So I'm very, very lucky. Angel, you are amazing. And looking forward to sharing many more things. We actually filmed a little vlog together. We went to New York City, and I'm debating if I want to post it on this main channel or make our own separate channel, because this is obviously a car focus. That was just kind of our experience. We're trying to find the best ramen in New York City. Comment below what you'd think. Should I post more personal, non-100% car focused stuff on this channel, or kind of build a separate channel with her? That's a consideration, right? But like, again, taking a step back, do I have any regrets leaving my job? No, absolutely not. I've started to make more progress with the relationships that are needed for doing this type of thing, right? It's with the OEMs and other brands, whether it's aftermarket or the actual manufacturers, getting more press cars. I have connections now with brands that I never did before. I've had Maserati press cars now, which is a pretty cool thing. I've had Mercedes press cars now. I had my first Land Rover, so you're working on that. And then there's another step up. You have to be able to, A, create the content that is of high enough quality, B, get on the radar of these companies, because you guys know there's so many content creators out there, reviewers, YouTubers. You watch all the other channels too, and they make amazing content. So I need to be able to also fit in there and get on the radar and consideration of the brand, so they invite me to press launches, get to see cars early, because that is how a lot of the algorithm works now. You're either getting the car early, being one of the first ones to post it, or you're building a crashed supercar. I feel like those are rebuilding a crashed supercar, or those are the ones that do really, really well right now. And I'm not rebuilding anything. I don't like working on cars. So that is not me whatsoever. But I'm definitely happier, I'm healthier, I'm more relaxed, less stressed overall. And I'm sure I'll make everything else make sense, right? The work-life balance, the traveling experience, I still want to do that. I love traveling. I actually don't have a itch to buy a crazy new supercar right now. Before last year, towards the end of my goal was to buy a Ferrari F12 this year. I turned 30 at the end of this year, and I was like, I want a V12 before I turn 30. And I could have done it, but now absolutely not, right? That would be horrendously irresponsible, but I actually don't have this crazy urge for it. I want to travel, I want to have more experience, it's more meaningful. It's easier to say like, oh, the material things and the money aren't important once you've done it, right? And I know that's a position of privilege, that I was able to do that experience and had all these cars and everything, and bought a watch that I wanted, my dream watch, and X, Y, and Z. And after doing that, it's much more easy to say, actually, I don't need that. But I had to go through that, and now I truly believe that. I don't care. I don't need an F12 right now. I'm so happy with my Z06, and it checks everything I need. So I want to do the other things in life. And I think I want to share more of like not the real Eddie, that sounds really cheesy, but just like maybe the more unfiltered, just the more authentic. It's not that I've been being inauthentic, but social media is always going to be a curated presentation. I have a YouTube voice. I've been told that many times. Like, if somebody asks me a question, they'll be like, no, talk to me normally. Don't give me your YouTube voice. When somebody asks me about cars and explain something, I know my demeanor will change a little bit because that's what I'm used to. So maybe showing a little more of that. I'm just a regular person to me, right? I've gotten to do some amazing things, and I think my hard work is a part of being able to do that. But I mean, like, my parents are immigrants from China. I grew up in Metro Detroit, Michigan. Went to school, went to a public high school, did the stuff, right? Wanted to be an engineer. And now, over the last 6-7 years, I've gotten to do some really cool stuff. So thank you to all the viewers, you guys, subscribers, supporters, for making it possible, right? It's always been something on the side that I've had that has let me drive some pretty cool cars and go to some cool events and get invites and access. And that's been a phenomenal experience and allowed me to, I guess, leave a full-time job to pursue doing content creation full-time. So we're 3 months in. 3 months in. I've been rambling for I don't even know how long at this point. And you're just watching me take this Lotus for a little bit of a drive. 3 months in, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, posting videos. I'm trying to increase the volume of content. So last year I tried to average 2 videos per week, which was a lot with a full-time job too. Now, the base goal was 4, but I was like, ramp up. First do 3 a week, averaging 3, now 4. So I'm going to aim for the 4-ish range right now for the next 3 months, absolutely maintain that. I also don't want to burn myself out. I don't want to do 7 videos a week because then it'll just become too much of a chore exhaustion. The people who do that, respect. It is brutally exhausting, especially with some of the reviews that require a bit more in-depth production when it's just one person. That'll be the goal. Oh, thank you, Mazda, letting me pass. Enjoy some of that supercharger wine. Let's go on a track for a little bit. I mean, I've got this car in this awesome road. So there's a 3-month update on what it's been like to do full-time YouTube/self-employment. I have a lot of other video ideas I want to film. I think one talking about like what it was like to do full-time job in YouTube. Because a lot of that, it's very challenging, and there's a lot of different realities that many people may not realize, or like things that I had to do in order to make it possible, the sacrifices and so forth, all the tips and tricks and finding different ways of making that possible, right? Some jobs you just can't do that. You need to find a job that's flexible, a manager, a supervisor, a boss that is understanding. I was very lucky to have that in my role and all the roles that I've had. And yeah, there's plenty more content to come. Obviously, it's summer and warm now, although I'm in California, the weather was nice here the whole time. Ooh, tunnel. Yeah. slow moving car in front of me, so we're not going crazy. So yeah, I guess in summary, what has it been like? Challenging, at times discouraging, but overall the right choice and a really great experience so far. No regrets whatsoever, and learning to embrace the challenges and the new situations I'm finding myself in, the new opportunities, and just learning more and more. Hope you guys enjoyed this very informal chat. If you want to see more, comment below. I appreciate all the support. Turn on that. I don't think I've ever said the turn on notifications / subscribe. I don't know, just one of those things where I've always seemed avoidant of it. But all the experts say, right, you have to like ask your people to turn it on so they get notifications and watch it. So if you like the content, do that. There's a lot of cool videos coming. X5M competition. What else did I drive recently? EV9. I spent a week with one of those. Land Rover Defender, Rivian R1S. Had a Corvette E-Ray. Got this Lotus Emira right now. A Maserati Gran Turismo coming up. A new Audi S7. So definitely working on a lot of stuff like that. More with my Z06. And I'll just keep doing this until I don't know until what. Until I succeed. Succeed. That's the goal, obviously. Success, right? Thanks again. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.